Listen, vision. Listen, vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
All right. Welcome to the Swerv Show.
What's
hey,
up,
y'all.
folks?
Lord, can we turn your volume down? Hey, Tony.
That was me. I'm sorry.
My name is Jamil Fletcher. I'm the publisher of Swerv Magazine, and it is what, June 26th?
26.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, summer is here and moving. We're
Full
almost
effect.
near the end of the month. You got us all? Should we move closer? Anyway, we got a full house, as you can see. Yeah. To my right, we have Yarde Noir.
What's up, folks? What's up?
Is this pink or peach?
This is pink.
Pink. It is very pink. Anyway,
Pink.
Why are we so blurry?
I know we're a little white.
We like
out.
spooky ghosts.
We're a little whited out. Add a little richness to our mahogany, please. Yes, we do. You laughing already? It gets worse.
I'm sure.
That's a little better. It's a little dark. I can live with that. How about you guys?
I like
folks?
my
Yeah, I'm
alabaster.
feeling Cocoa Ebony.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's what I'm saying.
I like that one.
And so, of course, we got Tony Nelson there on the end,
Hi.
the one and only. And then we've got Hope Giselle, our guest for this evening.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Arthur, activist, what? Lady around town.
Lady
how
of
do you
the town.
describe
Look
yourself?
here, entrepreneur, all of that.
Okay.
We get into some things.
Yes.
Own it.
Okay, she's going to join us all show, but we're going to talk about her the second half primarily, and we get her opinions on some great things happening in the community. So anyway, well, let's get started. You got my glasses. Can I borrow them? Because you can't see, then I can't see. Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. So, of course, we still have our May-June issue hot on the stands featuring Rasan Patterson. All right. And that's got a great highlight of Pride 2019. As you know, World
Yes.
Pride is in New York next weekend.
Next
Yes.
weekend.
And I'm thinking about
This
sneaking
weekend.
up this weekend.
This
right.
weekend.
This weekend. So I'll probably sneak on
Oh, I
up.
just thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I just booked got a bus ticket just in case I decide to scoot on up. I got some friends going, so New York folks, look for me. I might need a couch to lay on.
They're expecting 7 million people.
Are you serious?
Seven,
Yes.
7 million.
Oops, that means the rooms are
I
booked.
already got my hotel
Do you?
room. Yes, I'm going.
I might have to stay with you, Tony.
Yeah.
You staying with Michael Bill?
Me, Michael, Bill, and Sylvia. We call ourselves the geriatric crew.
Oh.
Yes.
That means y'all are staying at
The
the
trifecta.
Y'all staying at the W?
No, we usually stay at the Conrad, but the Conrad wanted $800 a night this time around. So even Michael Bill was like, "That's a little rich for my blood."
Not Michael Bill. Anyway,
You know,
I'm
Michael
sorry.
Bill.
Yes, Michael Bill.
Actually, let me be honest. Michael Bill was like, "Let's do it," and I was like, "No, I can't keep up."
Child, the
You got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay. You got to eat while you're there, please. All right. Anyway, y'all. So, of course, we've got, just to see we've got advertising opportunities, both within the magazine and for the show. Just hit us up at Jamil. Hit me up at jamil@swervemagazine.com with your what?
Budget.
Your budget, y'all.
You don't have one.
Hope you need to advertise some of your books and stuff with us.
So I should have brought a copy. I really should have bought a copy of Becoming Hope. But yes, if you have not gotten a copy of Becoming Hope and you are one of those people that want to know a little bit more about the trans experience from start to finish and not just after the transition.
Wow.
That is what my
Ooh.
book is about. It's more so about the beginning of my life, and then the second half of the book deal is where I will talk about becoming like a woman and stepping into this womanhood and actually accepting and learning more about that and love, right? Because Black trans women aren't supposed to find love, but I found it.
How about Black gay men find love? What about that?
Child, some of that. So just visit hopegiselle.com. I'm sure they'll ask more questions.
We're gonna get deep into it. Don't worry, we're gonna get deep into it. But just to let you know, we've got advertising opportunities. Okay, all right, we'll talk about that, and we got to do something on the book.
I got my budget.
All right. I like you better already. All right, since Tony has my glasses, I'm going to squint through this. Anyway, so what happened with us this past weekend? We had a wonderful Saturday at the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Amazing
And I think we got two
Saturday.
images. We did we hosted the museum, hosted Big
It was
Frida.
like Swerve hosted though, because we were like in prominence.
Well, yeah,
It really was a whole bunch of small families.
I had some involvement in it. Do we have a number three and number 4? All right, so look. So this is funny, y'all.
How did y'all get my picture?
So, of course,
I know that's my boo.
it was summer solstice at the Smithsonian, so all the museums were open late. And, of course, it's Pride, so the National Museum of African American History and Culture hosted Big Frida for a great interview.
Yes.
She was
You
great.
weren't there.
No.
My goodness. Great interview from Karamo,
Yes.
right? And then she performed.
Oh,
And she
did
dropped it on
perform,
down.
baby.
Performed.
She turned the African American
She really did.
out.
But she really did. But that little short-haired blonde girl gave me my
Did she break it up?
my
Yes, she broke it up.
everything and then some more.
Both of the women dancers were great. They turned it. They turned
Oh,
it.
and the
I think
kids.
that was tame.
And all the kids that came up. I got
Oh, the
my
high,
life.
the high school kids.
Baby,
the
it's some
ones-
high-
Where were they from?
I don't know, but they weren't from here.
Well,
They
the
were-
kids was cute, but there was those queens that took over the stage that upset the party. It takes a queen.
The Alvin Ailey Queen.
Yes, baby. The Alvin Ailey Queen.
And
They
so-
were doing- she had done a
They
whole
were
6
doing
o'clock
leg right
here.
at 6 o'clock.
There was
right.
some. There was a woman sitting next. She came over next to me, and I was going off. She said, "Why are you going off so fast?" I said, "Because I love a little young sissy." And she said, "Why do you love a young sissy?" Because I used to be a little young sissy. I said, "I remember. I used to twirl, kick, fall all over.
But could you get your legs up?
Oh,
like
I could
that?
do it all. Backflips, all that.
All of it.
I can still do a backflip at 55.
You know, him and Racine came from that crew.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, the high kids.
The high kids.
We started that. They're all stealing from us.
They all stole from us.
All right,
But
all right.
when I
Okay,
watched
Eartha
them
Kid.
kids up
Okay,
there
Eartha
carrying
Kid.
on, I really honestly, when I watched those kids up there carrying on, I just thought, that's how me and Racine used to carry. We used to storm everything
But
and
they
just
carried
carry
on in the
it.
Smithsonian. Okay.
But I got life. That's
Oh, it was over.
that's what made it most sickening.
They stormed because if you watch closely, Frida did not say you two. Those queens said, "I'm getting up
They
there."
jumped up on stage. So I think we have a clip. Do we have a video? Can you run it? Do we have a video of Big Frida trying to teach Karamo how to bounce?
Oh, that was cute.
You know what?
Can we show
Karamo
that
got a
real quick?
cute booty too, by the
He
way.
does.
Y'all better stop talking about my husband.
Oh.
It's got audio too. All right, all right. It was a fun evening. It really was. So
We had a
I
blast.
can't believe you didn't make it.
Hope was in New York.
Oh, okay.
You better
Getting ready,
get it.
getting ready for next weekend.
Not even next weekend. Just the more deaths and more
Oh no!
legislation. So
No, don't tell
Hope
me
was
that.
Hope was
Hope
Was
was
working.
working.
Doing community work.
Hope was
Okay.
working.
Hope was active.
And then the other thing we got going, I should mention Racine, the Ask Racine show on July 3rd. Do we have a flyer for that? Yes.
Boom.
And that is
Next
featuring,
Wednesday, right?
it's the Author's Corner. Right.
Who's she featuring?
I see Anthony Oakes, DJ. I can't see that at the
The
bottom.
DJ is I can't see it.
But anyway, it's the annual Poetry Slam.
Okay.
All right. Okay, maybe I'll come and do my Roses Are Red.
Yes, I think you should. Yes.
Look, someone said, just so you all be sure, Kitty R. Stevens, I remember Tony Nelson used to cut up the floor
floor
at tracks.
tracks.
You better believe it.
Would you?
Did I?
Yes, baby, you better pause.
They used to call
What? Did you?
at the clubhouse. They used to call us the Yip Yips.
You told me that because your word.
Because all they said because we were so young, and when we would come through, all they would hear was yip 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 yip. Yip. Oh, the days, the days.
Oh, the day.
Okay, y'all. Let's keep it moving. All right, we're in front of we're right on schedule. All right, so
Eric.
what's going on with you? I didn't ask what's going on with you.
Oh, not much. What's interesting is I need to now have a conversation with somebody because I'm supposed to be actually sitting on a panel this Sunday in New York. I totally forgot it was Friday.
Are you getting an honorarium
no,
with a
no.
package?
I'm actually sitting on it's a panel talking about mental health in the Black community.
Wow.
And so,
But keep me posted because I'll
I'll
probably
be,
be up there.
I'll be
But the
sitting on
parade
that.
is Sunday.
The function is Sunday. That's why I'm like now it's just like
But dude, we're gonna all be at the
Yes,
parade.
yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ugh.
And Harlem Pride is Saturday, so
Yes.
I don't know when you got time. Anyway, All right.
So
So
we're gonna
what's
see
going
what's
on
gonna
with you,
happen.
Tony?
Well, first of all, my nephew Lou Martin is watching. Hello, Lou.
Hey, Will Martin.
And Yasmin
So happy
Campbell
to
Star
see you.
is on. Hey, Yasmin, we love you.
But also coming up on the first Friday in July, I'll be returning to
Zeke
Ziegfeld's.
with Darryl Wilson. But
Come
this
on,
Friday
Darryl.
is real. I mean, that Friday is going to be an amazing show. First of all, we have our local favorites, Jasmine Blue, who is
Oh, so Jasmine's she's a regular on this.
she's going to be a part of their
Cast.
she's going to be a cast
Come
member.
on, Jasmine.
And Alicia Kelly, of course, the icon.
Yes, the
But
icon.
special guests that night are
Yes.
Dominique Jackson from Pose.
from Pose.
will be there. Yes, she will be
She'll
there.
here.
Dominique.
Dominique will be there, and I'm just thoroughly excited. The world's renowned, the world's famous Miss Mocha Montrese
Are
will
you
be
serious?
there.
Miss Black America?
My
It's
God!
gonna be here?
Oh my
God, and I gotta go to work. I'm
And
sorry.
let me just tell
Can we
all.
get a
Let me just
flyer?
tell all of y'all.
That's July 11th.
Let me just tell all of
We need a
y'all.
flyer.
Miss Mocha Montrese
Baby.
is going to bust
She's going
that
to
building
break
Down.
the building.
Down.
She's going to bust
building.
that
Down.
building down. Mocha Montrese, if you don't know,
I don't know if I'm
Don't-
familiar with her.
So
Mocha
she-
don't play.
She is the current. She's the current
Baby.
reigning Miss Black America.
Okay.
slays.
She's a former Miss EOY,
She
former
slays.
Miss Continental.
Oh, she's won everything.
Oh, baby, she's
Miss
slays.
Mocha, if when Mocha comes, you should just drop out.
Slay.
But
But the whole lineup is going to be filled.
the whole lot, it's going to be a star-studded lineup. But
Dominique is amazing.
Dominique is going to be hosting the show. There's going to be an
Oh.
event upstairs that she's going to host.
Oh, with the
And,
dancers?
Yes. And
Penises
it's
and-
going to be
and pose.
fabulous. And so I want you all to
Hoes
join.
and penises.
Penises
Be
and
sure
pose.
to be sure to join us. That's going to be an amazing night. But you know we have all those stars. But of course, there's one celebrity that's going to be on the show. That's going to make
Miss what?
Miss what the fuck?
Miss what the fuck. We'll make her. We'll come
The
out.
11 year reigning. Miss,
No, Miss What the Fuck
Miss what the
forever.
fuck will be in the building, and she is not. She would not be because Mocha's going to come with her dance number. So Miss Mocha, what the fuck is going to come with a dance?
Are you going to do it? You going to
She's gonna open up with a dance now.
And if for those of you don't think that I can still backflip and split, come see me on that Friday.
Baby, he gonna pop those
Say
skills
less.
before the
Okay,
show.
y'all.
Say less.
Look, Ziegfeld's July 11th. It's not 11th.
July 5th.
July
July
5th.
5th. Be there. Be there for Ziegfeld's July 5th. Anyway,
It's going
okay.
to be epic.
Well, y'all, let's keep it moving. Let's go to some news. All right. I can't see a thing.
Illinois.
All right. Illinois, the state of Illinois has legalized pot.
It's about time.
And
Good.
not only have they legalized it, but what they're doing is they are rescinding those
And they
that have been
should.
charged. So
And
they're
in
releasing
fact-
you and clearing your records.
And
Can
in
you get
fact-
ready?
And in fact, they need to. The whole country needs to do it. They need to go back and expunge people's records.
Yes.
Because this is a wreck. Now the shade is
If,
so
if
I-
it's
so the
if it's
shade is-
nonviolent
hold on.
crime associated with
Right.
and it's above a
But
certain,
I-
it's got a certain threshold.
And that's what I mean, and that's fine. But I want them to go back and expunge it. There's a documentary that was done that's on Netflix, and they talk about the cannabis community
thinking about
and
it.
how they talk about the cannabis community and how a lot of these guys from the inner cities who got arrested and have records. Now that it is legalized, they can't have a piece of the pie.
Right. They can't get right. Now you can buy stock.
Because you can't start a cannabis business if you have a record. So
Go imagine that.
Right. You know what I mean?
The irony.
So they should go back and expunge all their records. So then those people who were doing it
Agreed.
when it was illegal can now come back and now build a life for themselves.
Right.
Agreed.
Because you know what happens.
And this is the 11th state that has it.
The girl, what happened was the white men in the government was giving, they're making too much money.
Well, it was
Yeah.
just a matter
we
of
need
time.
to, we need to get
Yeah.
our cut.
Take
That's
it,
what
but
happened.
you need to take that a little bit further.
It was
What's
just a
going to
matter of
happen
time.
what's going to happen is that same white man in the government, the one, and I don't even smoke weed, but the white man in the government, the Republican white man in the government, is going to be the one to get rich off of it now that it's legal.
I'm the former speaker of the House, the one that used to have the fierce tan. He's got a major. He's like a major stockholder in some weed.
That's how the
Enterprises.
Kennedys got
Well,
rich.
it's legal, y'all. Let's get it.
That's how the Kennedys got rich in the 20s.
Everybody got rich off of something illegal
Everybody
first.
has made money off of that stuff. So the fact that people are still sitting up there locked away is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So Illinois, we'll see if this sets the tone for the country. Anyway, I have another surprise for news. I don't know if you folks have seen it. I almost fell out of my chair when I saw it.
I saw this.
I saw
I
it.
You
saw
saw it? So HRC has a new president, y'all.
Who is black?
And guess what? It's a brother.
He black.
What?
Alfonso Davis, and they put out a fierce little video on
They
him.
did.
So let's run it.
It's really difficult to explain to someone who hasn't gone through this what it means to have everything that you think of as normal disappear. I was born in the United States, but spent most of my childhood in Liberia, an African nation founded by newly freed slaves from America, who were seeking the dream of a better life. And for some time, my family was able to live that dream. My uncle even became the nation's president. As a young kid, I had everything I could want. Family, weekends at cousins' homes, roller skating. I loved roller skating. But I learned at a young age how fragile equality and freedom can be. I woke up to gunshots at the front door, where my father threw me and my brother and my sisters out of the window. They eventually got into the house and started shooting in our beds because they thought we were still there.
A successful coup d'etat
A violent military coup toppled the Liberian government.
characterized by an ethnically based dictatorship
My uncle was assassinated.
and the suppression of political opposition.
My father was imprisoned. The television screen would come on and they would say, "We have an announcement." Men were strapped to wooden poles, and then each person would get shot going down the road. So as we watched, we thought, maybe it's my father. And thank God it wasn't him. When I was 14, we escaped Liberia for a new life in Baltimore. We were fortunate enough to find refuge there. I soon learned what it meant to be different. An immigrant, an African, and a black person in the United States. I was the other. If I was in the room, I became the object of laughter and ridicule. It could be someone of my own race or someone of a different race. It happened, and happened often. Eventually, I came to understand I wasn't just a black man, an immigrant, and a child of refugees. I was also gay. It took me years to get to the point where I felt that I could look myself in the mirror and see a friend and see value. I told my father on the telephone I was gay, and he got very, very angry, disowned me, said I wish he were never born. It took them years to get there. These reflect treasures from my father. I didn't have a good appreciation for it at the time. And now, I love jazz. I had to, at a very young age, understand the purpose of life, the value of democracy, and really think about, why am I here? What am I going to do? I became a civil rights lawyer defending LGBTQ people from discrimination. And over the last decade, I have worked to defend and protect the civil rights of millions of people across the state of New York. As the head of New York's Office of Civil Rights, I helped lead the fight to win marriage equality in the Empire State, 3 years before the Supreme Court guaranteed that right to every American. We banned the abusive practice of conversion therapy on minors. We protected transgender New Yorkers from discrimination and enacted the nation's most progressive policies to combat HIV and AIDS. From housing discrimination to racial discrimination and reproductive justice, I've worked to make New York a fairer, freer place for everyone. And now, I could not be more proud to take the helm and lead the Human Rights Campaign as his next president.
Rescinded protections for transgender students.
Discrimination against gay people. Banning most transgender troops from serving in the military.
I don't have to tell anyone that this is a perilous time.
Justices who would not support gay rights.
But in this moment, I see a tremendous opportunity to overcome these attacks. I believe in the single mother trying to access affordable health care for her family. I believe in the Black trans woman who is preparing for that big interview. I believe in the teenager wondering if others will see them as they see themselves when they look in that mirror. I believe in the construction worker who is building the courage to come out to his peers. And I believe in the young queer immigrant who came to this country so that they could live authentically. I believe that together, all of us, we can harness the strength that's inherent in our differences to stand together in the face of fear and division. And that's exactly what the Human Rights Campaign was built for. If we want to win full equality, that's going to require us to come together, to dig deep, to be resilient, to embrace our differences, to tenaciously defend the most vulnerable among us, to fight with every ounce of determination we have. I promise you this, I will fight for each and every one of us. All I ask is that you join me, that you join the Human Rights Campaign in our fight for true equality. In unity, we will fight back, and we will win.
Well,
He said he gonna win.
well, y'all, I think it may be a new day. Is this their first? This is their first black person leading that organization.
I think so.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
Thoughts. Briefly.
I'm hoping, like we were saying earlier, my hope is that what happens with Human Rights Campaign is the same thing that happened to Out Magazine when they got a black editor, black woman, black trans woman editor. Now you can see the difference. Like literally the stories are like so multicultural. So I'm hoping that now that we have a person who is black who is going to be overseeing, I'm hoping that it is a tumble effect, that there begins to be more diversity in HRC, because I think it's the big elephant that nobody ever really wants to talk about.
We talk about it.
Oh,
What
okay.
are you thinking, Hope? What do you think?
I think the community talks about it. I think that the black community talks about it. I think that people who are progressive have talked about it for years, that HRC is the HRC monster. We all kind of know where the conversation is going and where it's going to be steered and who it's going to be geared to when HRC drops something. And so what I'm hoping is that now with his voice and his face, that they're not just pandering, to our community.
We'll see. I mean, because to put a black person at the top means something.
It means a lot.
Tony, what you thinking, Tony?
When a board brings in a person to lead an organization, especially an organization like a nonprofit like that, it's strategic. And
you would think so.
It's strategic. It has to be because they have a mandate, and whether or not it's a mandate that's been a long time coming, or they're just hearing the message. They have a mandate. And trust me, he's going in there with a mandate, and they're going to be watching him very carefully. And he's going to have some pushback. But trust me, that man right there, he knows what he has to do.
He looks like it.
There's going to be some people falling by the wayside. Trust me when I tell you. The same thing has happened at where I work now. They brought in an African-American.
This is, you work at
the DC Water Company.
DC
Water, yeah. And, there was I can't say too much, but there was, a network.
Of course.
And so when things happen, you can see the shifts, and you can see.
Give me my glasses.
And the bottom line is, if the folks that can't get on board will probably
get out, right?
But that happens.
That happens with any time of transition.
Anytime a transition happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have the people who are already there who have become complacent and
the
being where
cows.
they are, because a lot of times they benefit, and they don't care about the other people that don't. So when
or they're not a part of the new agenda.
Feel like, and they'll feel like some things are being taken from me, because some people have the mentality that if you get something, that means I lose something. I really thought they were going to put a black woman at the top. But I'm happy that it was a brother, and he seems very qualified.
and positioned
seems
appropriately for this position.
And I think that he's overqualified. And
Very
I think,
much so.
That's what I was about to say. He seems overly
yeah,
qualified.
He's overly qualified.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I mean,
When you-
HRC
when
is
you-
the largest
when
LGBT.
you just sat there and watched that video,
Right.
that man worked in the largest city, one of the largest cities.
I agree.
In New York,
Which means
And
he's-
made
and,
it.
and worked as a legal
made
aid
it.
But
from the
that
front
means
end.
he's the right person. I
Well,
think he has the
overly
right
qualified
skill set for
doesn't
that.
mean overly qualified is not suggesting that he's not the
Not
right person.
person.
Okay.
But I'm saying what I'm trying to say is, once again, when they bring a black person in, he's twice as qualified as
his
the
credentials-
previous.
his
The
credentials
credentials
are-
going to be twice as much.
I would agree with that.
Or
Which
twice
was
as
no
what
sh-
the previous.
Which was no shade, was that he had to be 3 times better.
Exactly.
In
We always do.
order for them to put him
We
in. So
always
he's
do.
overqualified.
Well, this is really interesting to me because this is probably the second black person to lead one of the big LGBT civil rights political organizations. So Aisha Moody Mills was running the Victory Fund, and that didn't go so well. I mean, it ended in a couple years. She pulled them out of debt, from what I understand, but it just wasn't the proper mix that I thought. So I'm curious to see how this works out.
And sometimes it is, but there's something. This guy right here is a smart guy. I mean, not saying that she wasn't, but sometimes it really just isn't the right fit.
And sometimes it's not the right time.
Exactly.
I think right now, where we are
In this
across
country.
the board with everything from transgender issues, especially African American transgender issues. We're talking about 50 years
HIV
of pride.
and AIDS.
It's this year has been. You're talking about polls. Everything has happened. This year has been monumental across the board.
But also,
it is the time. It is right now is the time.
But what we have in the White House, and in this nation right now, you cannot, any group that calls themselves progressive have to have a face of progression.
Right.
If
That's
you
a
go,
good one, Tony.
you have to. This day, if you're going to be a progressive group,
Your leadership needs to-
your
It needs to
leadership
reflect that.
and your entire organization needs to reflect
that.
needs to reflect it. And I'm not saying you push white folks out. I'm saying
Right.
you have to have
You
groups
gotta
that
make room
reflect
It
at
needs to
that
be
table.
clear.
Right.
It needs to be clear that there's room at the table.
That's
for
right.
because
We're gonna have to move on.
Because real quick, quite frankly, I believe that progressive white folks see that if we do not get on the bandwagon, we're gonna be right
left.
with the rest of them.
Right,
We're gonna
right,
get
right,
left.
right. Well, we're this is just the beginning. So we're going to put our hands out, and we would look forward to meeting and working with Mr.
Maybe we
Davis
can have him
here.
on Swerve.
Absolutely. I've already
be
invited.
amazing.
That invitation has already been extended. I've already said let's get with it, y'all. So we want to congratulate him first of all, welcome him to the District of Columbia,
Welcome.
and we look forward to meeting you.
The most beautiful city in the
We're
world.
gonna make it happen, right?
Where
Hope?
everything
Right.
happens.
That's right. All right. So let's keep it moving. All right, y'all. So let's go to what's hot. We're running a little late, but we'll keep it moving. So the BET Awards. Did y'all see that?
Which was surprisingly amazing this year.
I thought it was good. I won't go as far as amazing.
When I say amazing, I'm talking about in comparison to past years. 'Cause when I tell you,
Did they do-
the BET Awards have taken the slump. I mean, it has gone to hell.
Well, we got a few images. I think let's run for. So Regina, what did y'all think of Regina? How
Regina
was she?
Hall, I think she was good.
I like the DC tribute that she did.
Right, and that's because she's
Is
from
she
DC.
from DC?
Oh
She's from
yeah,
DC.
yeah.
Yeah.
She talked about Holgate. She talked about
she
go-go
talked-
music. They
She
were
did-
rehearsing. They had the snare drum. She said, "Oh, we didn't have money for snares.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
used
no,
buckets."
No, the line was it was like, I need to know how many people in the room are from DC.
Oh, yes.
It was like, so you know about
Haynes
So you know
Point.
about Haynes Point. He was like, yeah, that was that club. He's like, you're lying, get out. I said, yeah. It was amazing to see. It was amazing to see DC represented. EU was on there.
Taraji, of course.
Taraji P. Henson came up and was doing the butt. It was
Yes.
amazing.
And we got another image. We got who else do we have? We got this girl.
Oh, Cardi.
Y'all
B.
love her.
I love Cardi
This
B.
is her time right now, but I wish
I love
I
Cardi.
can't wait for it to end.
Wow.
No, we want.
I mean, I
see
don't
her
want to. I
successful.
don't want to. I I need music with my music. I'm
But
just
can
saying.
I want to see her successful because you know what?
I
I
want her to
mean,
be
there is a
successful.
spot for
Everybody.
for the
agree.
celebrity woman bitch, but I'm just sick of it. I mean, she seems like she seems like a cool person. I mean, I don't really love her
that.
music.
You know what? This is the thing. I'm gonna tell you this. I used to look at Cardi B when she was on Love and Hip Hop, and I was like, she is ratchet as hell. But it was not until one reunion where she sat there and she read these two girls for filth, and she was like, "Y'all stupid. He got y'all barefoot and pregnant, living in the same building." He was like, "You stupid."
She's a smart girl.
and she was spitting knowledge to them, and I was like, "Oh, you."
If you watch her Instagram page,
and that was the moment. That was the moment I lived for her.
She's smart, and this is her time, and I'm happy for her. I'm
Hey,
happy
Kiki.
for her. But we keep putting this image up. You know, we're celebrating this image of black, of brown
this is the thing.
female.
I get it.
It's slutty, and we're celebrating it.
women should be able to be sluts if they want to.
I agree, but we're elevating
what
it.
It is
I'm gonna move
you're
on.
old school. No, what it is.
Let's
you're
hear what
old school.
I think. Hope is
And-
busting at the seams to
Come on,
say
Hope, you
something.
gotta
What do you
comment.
have to say, Hope?
You gotta comment.
Because I mean, I think that women should be able to embrace sexuality in whatever way that
Amen.
it comes, right? And it shouldn't. My thing is, Beyonce has been doing the same thing that Cardi is doing for years, right?
Yeah.
And the thing
And
about
with
it,
a little different tone,
but that's the problem. It's not a different tone.
Right.
The tone is Beyonce is a lady of class, and so what we've done is we put her on this pedestal. So when Beyonce
Thank you.
gets up there naked in front of a tour with a thong on, it's oh my God, that is iconic. Yes, look at her celebrating her body and womanhood. But when Cardi gets up there and does it, oh, it's slutty. It's nasty. It's a thing.
But to me, it's not what she does, because it's more like what she says and the way she positions the artistry.
But my
She
thing,
ain't
it's
saying
real.
nothing that Lil' Kim didn't say
But
when Lil' Kim
but it's
came out.
real. But my thing, we all know
Right.
a Cardi B. We don't
Right.
all know a Beyonce.
We all know Cardi B, and you know what?
I guess
They-
I'm just out of tune because
You are.
Yeah.
When
Now
I
you
hear the
know,
music
but
and
you
it's-
know I'm the biggest music snob in the world.
I'm like,
you do know that.
can we take-
However, it breaks me up when they make it seem like the Cardi B is the first person who talked
No,
about.
she's not.
I mean, Millie Jackson was
I
talking
couldn't-
was
Hey,
out
there you
there
have
grabbing meat out in
But
front
let
of.
me tell you, I like Millie. Millie actually could sing. That's first of all, and the music was tight. But I couldn't listen to Millie but so much. But they've taken this to a whole nother level. I mean, the P word is all in the chorus, and the S and the B and the N.
But what about
and
when men were doing it with the B's
I
and
don't
the
like.
H's
And
and
I
the...
complain
Now he's
about
equal
that.
opportunity.
And
He
I
don't like
complain
theirs
about
either.
that.
He don't like theirs
I
either.
complain about that.
Okay.
But you know what? I just don't want to be the
Hey,
person
Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
that's saying, I remember when we used to walk 20 miles to school. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
I mean,
I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the cool hip guy.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, we're elevating this one thing, and then now you see the replication of it with City Girls and everything. It's funny the way they showed
That's
them on
Miami
the show,
girls. I'm from Miami.
and that was just. I was like,
I'm from Miami.
I'm not old enough to
that's
listen
our
to that.
culture.
But it's interesting
That is
because
not
Trina.
I don't know if you paid attention. So I don't know if you paid attention, but the BET Awards has really become more like the Hip Hop Awards.
It
pretty
is.
much.
And the Soul Train Music Awards has become what
The
BET
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 Awards
Awards
used to
right.
be.
Pretty
Yes.
much.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I was saying. Like for me, to
Hey,
watch
Joseph.
this year when I watched the BET Awards, I was like, oh, this is cute.
This is entertainment.
We had-
Right,
we had
because
a
it was,
couple
it
other-
was a clear.
keep talking. We got a couple more images.
It was a clear blend.
Dizzy, what else do we have? Your
Lizzo, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can somebody help me? I don't
Yes.
know. I
Baby,
don't
she
know
is the
her.
hottest
Lizzo.
That's
right
Lizzo.
now.
Oh my God.
This performance was iconic.
I
and
saw her with
magic.
a
Baby.
flute. I said, "Who is she?"
Her name is Lizzo.
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 And understand that her tickets for DC are already sold out because I went and looked for them.
Baby, I missed them too.
Yeah, she gonna be here in September. And I'm so
What does she do?
She
She sings, she
Well,
raps, she writes.
Well,
play instruments,
Sing-
she's everything. She's a
Sing
musical prodigy.
is a relative term. I think she does something. She's artistic. I give it that.
She sings, but I do believe that because she is a bigger girl, when she's trying to
she's
sing and dance
talented.
and perform, it does not come off the same way as when she's just singing. But I do
Okay.
believe that she can't hold
I've
a note.
never heard her just sing.
Yes,
just
she can
stand
hold
up
the
and
note when
sing.
she's just singing. now.
Go listen to the album.
Yes.
Okay.
And there you have it.
All right. Who else do we have? We have a couple other more images, don't we? We have, I think. Now this was the best moment of the show to me.
Who is that?
Try the
was-
gospel moment.
Well, I mean, I'm not a gospel music
no, I'm not saying
person,
that, but-
the music was so slamming.
Child.
Kelly
Kirk
Price.
Franklin, Kelly Price.
Kelly
Erica
Price,
Campbell. Who
that's
was
a-
the guy? What was the guy's name?
I don't know the guy's name, but that all four of them.
Oh, they're the new judges,
this
right?
was a preview for Sunday's Best.
Oh,
Sunday's Best kick off. I think.
I'm sorry.
Oh, they were promoting all this.
Y'all can say what y'all want to. Miss Kelly Price
Miss
sings
Kelly-
down.
Oh, all of them
Down.
sang.
Okay. All of
But
them.
you know what though? Real quick,
And we got another image. Keep talking.
Kelly
talking.
Price sings down, but
she
she got
wasn't
a.
nice. She
She's
wasn't
not a very.
nice.
We're not gonna go there. She's not. But her sister. She got.
yeah.
Oh,
Her sister sings.
she don't want no parts of her sister. She got a sister.
Actually,
And Tyler Perry
her
got the
actually,
Humanitarian Award.
Kelly
did.
Price,
Yeah.
Price's sister, and Melanie, who's been on the show, were all three Mariah Carey's
Oh.
background
Yeah,
singers
they sure
together.
were.
Well, Kelly
Eric's
was in Mariah Carey's
You did
background.
Kelly Price
And her
Kelly Price's
sister.
and
Okay.
Melanie Daniels
her sister
Walker
sings
all
down.
were the three main background singers.
Oh.
If you go back and look at the live
Yeah.
MTV Live,
That's what Eric Experiment. That's what Eric
yep.
Experiment was their makeup artist. That's
And
how
that-
That's how I know his sister.
and that's the truth.
When is Melanie coming out with an album? With the new album?
Oh, right now she's doing her master classes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Well, Melanie, don't
She's making
snip
it
that
pop.
album. We got to play that tune again.
Somebody said all her sisters can sing. I know. I
Yeah,
heard
they
that
can.
one. That one blows.
Yeah, they can.
All right, so let's keep it moving.
Oh,
I
no,
think,
no,
I think
one
that
second.
was it.
1 second. Go back to the Tyler Perry thing.
Oh, all right, we're running out of
Tyler
time
Perry.
now.
This was a moment. His speech was so freaking sickening.
Oh, yeah, it was
that
great.
If you have never been inspired, please go.
Well, I've heard that speech before.
Yes, he has.
Okay.
It's recycled.
But it's
I
still,
didn't
but it's
hear
still
it,
made.
so
You know,
it-
he
it
talked
moved
about
me. I got my
ownership.
life.
I got it.
my life.
I'm not a
So,
fan.
If you didn't see it, go check it out. They
Well, the
got it on
award
YouTube
show was
somewhere.
great. It's worthwhile rewatching it if you haven't seen it. Anyway, all right, so let's keep it moving. Pose. So I've been watching it. The last episode last night was over.
Was it
Thoughts?
over?
I thought it was
Everything.
over. I thought it was over. Thoughts?
It was
Well, don't forget.
What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say?
Don't
about
forget,
it?
Dominique is coming to
Dominique,
Zickville's.
is this
Pose
Sunday?
and polls.
What do you think? What do you think? Hope?
I mean, the show is doing a lot better job at telling stories that seem to be more truthful and realistic. I love the fact that last night's episode was based on an actual
Of
story
course.
that
Dorian
happened
Corey.
during
The whole
Corey.
thing was.
And so
But I mean, the model piece.
Yeah, I think.
the modeling piece was also
based off
Well,
Tracy Africa.
Well, and
Yes.
there's some others that
Well,
have
she
had-
actually posted. Tracy
Oh,
posted.
really?
She posted one of the images we ran in because we did a whole thing on Tracy.
We've done a couple things on Tracy. We love Tracy.
Tracy posted the picture, the cosmetic ad that she was in, and she posted it, and she said, "I want to give a special thank you to Pose
Wow.
for sharing my
Yes.
story." So the model thing was based
On Tracy.
On Tracy.
Yeah, I think this episode was based a lot off of her. I think
Fierce.
the last episode when Angel first got there, I think that was based off of Paris is Burning.
Paris is Burning.
With
Octavia.
St. Laurent.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, did Dorian Corey? I mean, not
But
Dorian. Well,
the
no, Dorian.
mummifying is about Dorian Corey.
And people didn't believe
Oh,
it.
I didn't
saw
know
people
that.
on Facebook. But if you watch the movie, watch the documentary. Well, I'm not sure if this part is true, but if you do watch the documentary, there's a cat in the documentary that's playing on the
body.
on the body. The body is in a trunk, and the trunk is sitting behind her as she's doing her makeup, and the cat is up and down like on the trunk every time they show her. So if you go back and watch it,
I'm gonna go back and watch
This
it.
is Paris is Burning?
Yes, Paris
I don't
is
remember
Burning.
that part.
go watch because you wouldn't. You really wouldn't until you pay close attention to
Well,
it.
I think what's interesting and what I like about Pose.
I ain't mad at
is
Dorian Corey either.
Even the first season, I think a lot of the story was based off of these.
The ballroom
these-
competitions
these-
and all that
these-
stuff.
These iconic stories that you hear. Like I remember, I was in a house in high school. And I was told the stories about the breaking in, grabbing stuff,
They would
breaking,
smash the
smashing, and
windows.
walking to the ball,
With the
and
museum
somebody,
stuff.
the Isaac Mizrahi, the bustier with the handles, that somebody had got it and went to a ball, and when she came out the ball, baby, the popo was there to lock her up. So when I saw that last season, I was like, oh, y'all pulling the old legend stories, and y'all weaving them in. So that's what I find fascinating.
That's a legendary story.
And the performances are getting better also. I think,
Because the budgets are getting bigger.
well, that helps too.
And they got greenlit.
then
They got greenlit
for
for
a
Then
the
the
third
cast is
season.
gelling. The cast is gelling. I think the synergy is there because they've been working together. It seems to be a little more seamless. to
Isn't
me.
Janet Mock taking more control of
Janet
the show?
Mock is
also?
taking. I think she has
so.
full ownership of the show now because she is now
Yes.
fully claiming that she's the director.
All right.
And producer. She corrected.
She
corrected.
Well, we gotta bring
Bravo
her
Andy.
on.
She corrected Bravo Andy. She said, and producer.
All right.
Right.
Well, Pose, y'all watch it. It's on Tuesdays now, not Sundays. So
But it'll be
Tuesdays.
gone for the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, really?
It
get a
won't be.
2-week
It won't be
break.
this week. You have to wait till the following.
Oh, but Tony, that gives you time to catch up.
Yes.
All right, let's keep it moving. Of course, we've got the Swerve Model Contest. That's still hot. We got voting is going on now up until July 15th. Do we have an image? Bam. We've got 7
I got every time
male
you show that,
presenting contestants, and then we've got 3 female presenting contestants.
every time you show that, my favorite flips. I pick a new favorite.
Which one's your favorite?
I got like
no,
3.
he is not.
Who are you talking about?
We'll talk
You
after
know
the
somebody?
show.
After
Well, I
the
don't know
show.
if it's someone you want to vote for or not vote for. Ooh, okay.
She planting trees at the
Oh,
table.
All right. Well, I don't know
bless
if that
the Lord.
person's going to win yet. It all depends on whose votes. Okay. All right. So we'll keep it moving, y'all. Should we show our musical spotlight? We got.
We
it's
need to
only
talk
3
to the
minutes.
Nathaniel, Nathaniel, did you even submit a picture?
Oh, who?
Because
Who?
Nathaniel said I didn't make the cut.
Oh, I don't know if I saw a picture. Anyway, well, let's talk with our host.
Yes, we need to talk to Hope.
We'll show Cecile McLaurin Savant's video sometime.
Oh,
later.
no. I hate to miss her, though.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing too.
I love her.
We'll see. And
Can we just see a snip?
It's only 3 minutes.
Then we can talk to Hope.
Let's show it. So let's run it.
She's
Yo,
fabulous.
this is Cecile McLaurin Savant doing Poor Butterfly. It's
Oh.
worth it. It's worth it. You're gonna.
There's a story told of a little Japanese sitting demurely neath the cherry blossom trees. Miss Butterfly's her name. A sweet little innocent child was she, till a fine young American from the sea to her garden came. They met beneath the cherry blossoms every day, and he taught her how to love the American way, to love with her heart was easy to learn. Then he sailed away with a promise to return. Poor butterfly, 'neath the blossoms waiting. Poor butterfly, for she loves him so. The moments passed into hours, the hours passed into years, and while she smiles through her tears, she murmurs low, the moon and I know that he'll be faithful. I'm sure he'll come to me by and by. But if he never comes back, I'll never sigh or cry. I just must die. Poor butterfly.
She has a beautiful voice.
Yo, that is Cecile McLaurin Savant. Tony turned me on to her. My uncle told me on to her. I saw her for the first time. She was here for the DC Jazz Festival, her and Just a Penis, and she was amazing.
Well, you know, and
At the Hamilton, she was amazing.
and just a little history of that song. That song, it wasn't written for Sarah Vaughan, but it's a song that many artists, even Ella Fitzgerald, refused to sing.
Really?
Ella Fitzgerald.
And Ella Fitzgerald is
Ella
the standard.
Fitzgerald would not sing that song because Sarah Vaughan had stamped it so hard.
That's when they all used to do all the songs.
They used to all do all the songs, but
the same,
people,
right.
out of respect for Sarah Vaughan, they would not sing that because Sarah Vaughan was known to be the best singer out of all the girls. You know, arguably,
even though Ella Fitzgerald had the best technical voice, but
it's arguable.
But we're not. We're going.
But what?
That's a discussion for
But
another
what's
night.
said is that rendition is probably the closest that I've heard to Sarah Vaughan. Matter of fact, it may even match it.
It's classic. But anyway, y'all check out Cecile McLaurin Salvant. If you haven't seen her, go see her. She's touring the world. You know, she's doing all the jazz festivals. She's the new face of jazz. I mean, jazz lives. But anyway, we got Hope here. Hope, tell me about some of these
excited.
books. Hope Giselle, I didn't know you were such a writer. I knew you were an activist, but not a writer.
Honestly, so what ended up happening was this book has been in the making since high school, honestly. But it was one of those things where I had to know who I was before I started writing.
And what's the name of it again?
Becoming Hope, Removing the Disguise.
Okay.
So
Wow.
anybody who has followed me from high school, they know that like my screen names on pretty much every social media is Hope Disguised. And there's no real funny story about that. It's just Hope Disguised because I was hiding from my mother on Facebook. But it's one of those things where I finally, once I realized that I was coming more into my womanhood and I was understanding who Hope was, there was no need for it to be like disguise anymore. I try to change everything to Hope Giselle now because I'm just like the disguise part is more of the childish portion, even though a lot of people still kind of use it. But the books now are one of the things that kind of give me an outlet to be the voice and be that girl that I wanted to
So tell us about
see.
your activism.
So a lot of it just happened off the whim. I opened up Facebook one day, said what I had to say, and people responded. It was that easy.
And it's amazing, too, because when I see something that's happening, I don't know if you know this, but I always refer to Hope first to see what Hope is saying about it.
She's going to give the most rational.
Well, she's going to give the most impassioned
Truthful
and
and
truthful thoughts about it. I always check her page to see her take on what's happening. So
I appreciate that. I get that a lot, though. I think that people respond, even like folks that I grew up watching and still watch to this day, like T.S. Madison and Laverne and Janet and all those people, you know, they will come to me and say, girl, I had to see what you were going to say
Wow.
first. You know, and so it's one of those things where it's great to know that the greats and the people that you look to as mentors, you know, from afar are like sitting back like, okay, Hope said this, and I agree with that, so I'm not going to say this when I make my statement. But there's just certain things that I say that when you reach a certain level, if you haven't built that sort of name for yourself, you can't say. And so I think a lot of the girls live for that because it's like, oh, I'm not on that level yet. I can't say that, or I've surpassed this certain level, and I haven't stamped that for myself, so I can't. And I think that I just bring this. I think there's like this Bougetto thing that happens.
Bougetto?
What
Me
I'm
and
here
T.S.
for.
What does
Madison.
that mean? Well, how do you
Slightly
define that?
bougie, but sometimes
It's
ghetto.
bougie, but you know, like I still bring it back to the projects, and I like to remind people that watch my videos that all the time, you know, just because I'm learned and just because I have a little bit bigger of a vocabulary than most people, it doesn't mean that I didn't grow up in the projects in Miami. You know, it doesn't mean that I can't relate to the girls that are still walking. It just means that I'm speaking, and I feel like I'm entitled to speak on certain levels for everybody, and not just one subset of girls.
So I know you got some questions. So where are we with? I mean, we're evolving as a country, as a culture, both within African American cultures and others around sexual identity and transgender. What the word means, what it means to be transgender. So the whole topic is front and center now.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think that it's about time, right? I think that trans women, and especially trans women of color, have been fighting for everybody, you know?
Amen.
And it's one of those things where I think that trans women are just now starting to say, you know what? We ain't doing nothing for nobody until we get something. And it's just about time. There's been so much kickback on trans women because of the occupations that some of us hold, and the idea that some people are jealous and some people ain't jealous. Like there's just too much, and it's just like, but we need help, right?
But you know, how do you break that myth about the occupation that some transgender hold? And I've asked that because a lot of people don't know, I came up a de facto trans person because all of my friends were trans. All of them. My best friend transitioned in high school. Gracious.
Wow.
Gracious, Terry Pulley, the lady Vanessa. These were the people. I was their their pants wearing queen that ran with them. I was their pants wearing queen. But my point was, these were all hard working women. Back in the 80s, Terry Pulley owned her own salon. Miss Vanessa was an executive assistant to Tommy Davidson's mother at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So where is this stereotype that all trans women are sex workers?
Because of the glorification of what the media wanted people to see about sex workers. People don't want you to see trans women out here working like Janet Mock. People didn't want you to see Laverne. People don't want you to see me, right? And so when we look on to the internet and we see the trans women that are being shared, and it's no offense to my sisters and it's no offense to my aunt. I just had a conversation with her last night. Madison, right? It's a Cinderella story, but she was a porn star. And I can say that. And so while I can glorify her, I can always cut her down. But you can't cut a Hope Giselle down. You can't necessarily cut a Janet down. You can't necessarily cut those people down.
Right.
And so when I want to flip something but still have control over the narrative, I put people in places and give them just enough leverage, but remind them at any point in time I can snatch that rug.
But Janet Mock said on and I was shocked that she said this. She said she's
engaged in sex work, but you have to remember where that's coming from. And I always like to remind people of the place of privilege that Janet speaks from.
Right.
Janet has been passable. She has been privileged enough to have a family that's been very supportive of who she was since she was younger. That sex work was survival sex work on a whole different level. Not because I didn't have a family, not because I was put out, not because I just needed to get my gifts. It was because I needed to make sure I could do what I needed to do for me.
Got it.
And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to. And then it turned into something else, right? And then it was silent until I felt like capitalizing off of who I was.
Got it.
And that's no shade because she's a mentor, but it's one of those things where Janet was fortunate enough to capitalize off of her transism and her transness when she felt like it.
Right,
Got it.
right. Got you. I hear you.
You are there yet?
So then what do you do? I mean, do you have an organization? You write books?
Yeah,
What else do you do?
I have the Allow Me movement, which is a nonprofit that focuses on LGBT youth of color.
Say the name of it again?
The Allow Me movement, right?
The Allow Me movement.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it focuses on LGBT youth of color with a focus on Black trans women.
Okay.
And we're teaching leadership skills, right? We're teaching the act of artivism, which is what I think that I do a little bit better than activism. So it's taking art and making your voice heard with that and using whatever medium that you feel comfortable with or most passionate about to create your activism. And so for me, that's my voice. That's my art. That's using the degrees that I have. For another girl, that might be taking hair and making statements. That might be taking makeup. That might be using your knowledge or your love of legal services and doing something. You know what I'm saying? So it's about kind of stepping out of the stereotypes of what they think we should be doing as LGBT people and teaching these youth kids that you don't have to step into a salon because you're a gay boy who happens to be effeminate. You can be a lawyer.
You can go be a doctor. Right.
You can. And so it's just connecting those people with people in the community who are doing those things in multiple states.
But do you see? I mean, do you think the environment is more conducive for people to come out as trans younger to engage in it,
Oh,
even though there's some
definitely.
violence and stuff that goes on. But
Definitely. I think even because now you have kids where friends are becoming your circle of people a lot younger, right? So now you do have that friend who understands at 13 versus back in the day when I was growing up, my friends was like, but my mama said you going to hell, you know? And so now you have those friends who are like, parents are, even if they're not teaching their kids tolerance and you know, inclusivity, kids are learning it. They're learning it from all around.
because I hear more and more discussion from educators around parents in treating their daughter that says she doesn't want to be, she wants to be a boy at very young ages.
Yes.
I mean, like elementary school.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
we seem
so
like we hear that more and more, and it seems like we hear that more and more, like with like celebrity, white celebrities that are embracing their trans children.
well, we did a story on Drea Kelly.
Drea Kelly.
And her daughter who identified as a boy. It's a really good story.
Wow,
And
I
a
have to
couple
see that.
years ago. She was very open and honest about it.
She was actually on the cover.
Right.
She
She was
wasn't
supposed to be on the
She was
cover.
supposed to be on
Right.
the
But
cover.
anyway. But we got to wrap up. Sorry, we're running a little tight on time.
Hope has to come
Hope's
back.
coming back whenever she wants. Anyway.
Hope, we gotta have you
Well,
back,
y'all,
darling.
look out. Go to our Swerve magazine site. Check out the issue for May, June. And then also make sure you cast your vote for the model contest. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
I love Hope Giselle.
See
Thanks
ya
for
next
coming,
Thank you,
darling.
Hope. Thank you.
Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Oh.